Hey docs, I've got some practice tips for you that are really relevant to what's been going on lately. Whether we are in the second wave or the second wave is coming, the truth is a lot of this stuff with quarantine has caught chiropractors off guard. So I've got some notes because I want to go through some detailed information that I know will help you out. Maybe some things that caught you by surprise, but then obviously give you the solution. Here's what I mean. One of the things that we've seen with chiropractors that have been struggling is this idea that value created, but then value not delivered is still of no value to your patients. Meaning if you create value and you get them excited about it, but then you can't show and deliver on this, well then there is no value. So again, value created but not delivered equals no value. And these are the chiropractors quite often that are great at marketing, but they have no way inside their office to get the patient re-excited through their procedures, through their systems. And I'll give you that solution in a minute. But unfortunately, these become the chiropractors that have to screen every Saturday. They have to get more new patients because the patient's excitement peaks when they start, and then over time they just start to decline, and there's no way to get them re-engaged, re-excited through the process. So I'll come back to that in a second. Number two is results do not equal referrals. And I'm sure you figured this out the hard way, but results in your practice don't often transfer to referrals in equal proportion. And I think that's key, in equal proportion, because many docs get great results, and some of the best technicians in our profession are quite often working out of an empty practice because it's not as easy as getting results and sending a friend in. There's a lot of other socioeconomic factors that go into it, a lot of behavioral psychology on who people refer to. And I would tell you a great example would be something like personal injury attorneys. If you got a pit bull personal injury attorney and they're gonna fight for your cause, then all of a sudden you're referring to a pit bull. And what we've seen in a personal injury way is there's a big shift to the softer side. We'll accommodate you, we'll help you. It's almost like the Ritz-Carlton of personal injury work. So they're moving away from the tough pit bull, will fight for you. You want Mad Dog Maddox in your corner, you know, boxing gloves, the full deal. And the truth is, they're going to a softer side because it's not a referable experience. So we're going to talk about that for you, because really what I want you to do is avoid the one-off scenario. People come in, they get results, and they're done. Now it should be a repeatable and referable experience, and we'll come back to that as well. Number three that I've got for you is, what is your success proposition? And this is huge because quite honestly, it comes with communication. What is your success proposition? Basically comes with your pre-framing and your communication. So I'm gonna jump back up top, but value created and value not delivered means you'll forever be a marketer. And this tends to be chiropractors that don't have an end game in mind to get people under wellness care. You see, corrective care shouldn't be the only thing that you want to do with your patients. Pain-based care, there should be some sort of preventative wellness basis that you at least offer your patients. And I don't care if it's like a tooth cleaning and it's every 6 months that you're gonna do this, that's fine. But the idea is recommend something to maintain it. And the key word that I wanna give you here, and this is a big one, is the word abandon. It just makes sense to people. If they do the work, they get results, they can't abandon the behavior and the habits that got them the results in the first place. So you will forever be a Saturday marketer if you don't understand that supportive care, wellness care, maintenance care, whatever you want to call it, is really important to at least offer it to your patients. Because if you don't, it's like going to the gym and working out and then doing nothing. Everybody knows your body is moving towards entropy, and there becomes this disassociation. So if you want to avoid forever doing Saturday screenings, remember, value created and then delivered, and communication around that. The secret here is pre-framing, okay? The other thing is results don't equal referrals in equal proportions. The answer here really comes back to doing your re-exams, really checking in with people, getting them excited, getting them re-engaged. But you cannot post-frame your re-exams. And I've seen too many people ask their patients after they've been under care, how bad were you when you were started? And the brain has a really funny way of erasing horrible memories. Right? It's built to protect you. So if you've got horrible memories of pain and severity, this is why people start to miniaturize or minimize what they have going on. And then a lot of what I wind up teaching docs is how to unpack that scenario. And unpacking means we got to pull out these emotions and these memories that oftentimes are painful, that they've packed them away. So that becomes a much harder thing to do midway through your care plans. You need to pre-frame this stuff. It's just a smarter way to practice. Do your re-exams with intensity like you do your marketing. So if you're that Saturday screener that is always out there, I'm telling you, take a little ounce of that intensity and put it into the re-exams, and you won't need to screen so much. Full day Saturday versus 5 minutes in your practice. And we've clocked our re-exams are under 5 minutes. What is your success proposition? This is where we've got to get really clear. Can you deliver on the promise? What is it that you're doing? And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're doing 4, 5 technologies, that is not delivering on the promise. The max I'll allow docs to do that I teach is 2. You're allowed to have 2 propositions for tests. That's it. Anything more confuses the people. Confused people don't buy. And more importantly, confused people don't stay on because they don't know the rules to the game. So again, your success proposition really is, what is your care plan and the rules to the game? Now, it could be different for everybody watching this, and I'm totally fine with that. But you have to have clarity. And if you have clarity, then your CA should be able to explain it. And that really becomes a litmus test. Ask your CA, what are the rules of the game in here? What do we do? And if they stumble and mumble, I'll tell you there's even a bigger drop-off from your team down to the patients, down to your practice members. And coincidentally, in my practice, we have patients who come in when they're in pain and they graduate to practice members. So we don't just give them that title right off the bat. We say, look, if you're in that allopathetic model, and it is allopathetic, then you're a patient and you can graduate and level up out of that when we get the results you're looking for. So it's kind of a cool concept, but really changing it as we go through the paradigms. That's what we do in our office. And then speaking of CAs, they need to be able to articulate what it is that are the rules of the game or your success proposition. And most importantly, I think, is syncing up your team. So I've done webinars, I've done teachings with my docs that I say, listen, the rules are you got to sink or swim, right? You've got to sync up your team so that these procedures are transferable, or you're always going to be swimming against the current. Even probably better is you're going to be treading water, right? You're not even making progress. So I'm going to give you 3 things you can do with your team that I hope will help you out, kind of get you out of this quarantine. And I'm going to anticipate that there is a second wave. Now, I'm not going to get too into the virus, but I just want to tell you, with all the rhetoric on what's going on in the media and politically, they're really getting us ready for the second wave. So here's what I'm going to tell you. When it comes to your team, sink or swim. Number 1, I always think of my CAs as a Swiss Army knife. So I have all my CAs cross-trained. Then if someone says they're going to chiropractic school or they're going to switch careers, it doesn't paralyze your practice for the next several months, because you've got to find someone, offer them the position, interview them, train them, and then after a couple months, now you're ready to pick it back up. You can't do that. You can't do that. What you need to do is have everybody cross-trained. So if somebody says, hey, I'm going to chiropractic school, then you can start moving people around on the chessboard. And with your team, it is chess, not checkers, okay? So create a Swiss Army knife, a multi-purpose, multifunctional CA. I have Swiss Army knife CAs that I can move around the chessboard so you're not playing checkers, okay? Point number 2 with your CAs is chunk it down. Any learning that you're doing, chunk it down, okay? I want them to understand the concepts, to know the reason why behind it, and you're gonna have better compliance through your practice. But if they're just doing a thing or a script, then inevitably it's going to change over time. It becomes more about them than your practice on a long enough timeline. So my 3rd point for CAs is this: inspect what you expect. In other words, train with them. We have a designated day that we train. And any tweaks or any word choice that we need to make, it's a gentle correction on downtime where we're set and meant to be training. It's not in between patients with high intensity and high emotion that you roughly correct them. You can't do that, okay? So inspect what you expect and gently course correct. This is huge for sink or swim when it comes to your team. And then the last point I have for you is inspiration equals energy. Again, we're gonna take 5 weeks of summer vacation with our kids. We have 4 beautiful children, but we're gonna have some fun. And I have a freedom model in my practice because I can step out and my associate can step in. Look, we have a day 1, day 2 workshop. That's kind of like the baseline of what I teach. It's called Elements. But after the Elements workshop is really, most of the teaching I do now is online. It's video-based, majority of it. So a lot of docs know me for the live workshops. That's great. But the back end, the postgraduate, is awesome, because here's what I want you to learn out of this, is that I want you to live a dream come true calendar. I knew what I wanted to do, and then I had to reverse engineer into it. And one of the keys, especially with this quarantine economically, and you could have learned this from your grandmother, is you need to build reserves as a habit. You need to build reserves on an ongoing basis. I've been talking to my docs for the last 1 year, about breakage. It means you can absorb some negative things, you can absorb some hits, and you're still profitable in your practice. When quarantine, limited volume, limited scope, then all of a sudden docs didn't have breakage. They had months that was chewing into their savings. They had months that they were losing money. I'm proud to tell you the docs I teach were highly profitable. We had a number of docs breaking records in the downtime. Breakage is huge. Build reserves as a habit. And coming out of quarantine, you could build a new muscle. It's called your financial muscle, okay? And then the last one I have for you is progress is impossible if you stay with the familiar. So the way I would describe this is basically if you have fear of failure, it's the same thing as fear of success. Because in order to change with the times, you can grow, but you also have to evolve. That means that you also need to try new stuff. And if you try new things, that equates to the fear of failure. And if you're not willing to do that, that means you have fear of success. So in a roundabout way, many chiropractors have fear of success. So even though we went through tough times and now we're coming out of it, majority of them are going to convince themselves and go with the narrative that that'll never happen again. We can't have a second wave coming. Watch the media, watch what your patients are watching, and prepare yourself. There is a second wave coming. And I wanted to do this to really help you in a longer video format. So I hope it did. Drop some comments if you find this useful. But the idea is you need to start changing up your model. Too many chiropractors have a second family member seek care, and they pretty much have such steep discounts that they give all their money back that were profitable from the first family member. So one family member comes in, you're making some decent profits. The second member comes in, it's such a steep, you almost becomes a break even. We did a workshop recently and a doc was giving back $3 per visit on the second family member, the spouse that decided to do care. It was crazy. When he ran his numbers, he was paying them $3 to come in. I'm sure many of you docs are doing that. So again, I want to keep you out of Saturday screenings forever. There's a way to do that. You need to pre-frame things in your office. What is your success proposition? Your team needs to know it, and then do some of those things with your team so you can have a Swiss Army knife so that you've got this ability to inspect what you expect. And then most of all, I want you to have some freedom this summer. So from the Glowaki half pipe, my kids are skaters, they love to surf, that van's always loaded up. We've got some fun things happening, but that is the byproduct of doing these systems tight so that inevitably you start to live a dream come true calendar. So if you see me on the road here in the next couple of weeks, it's because we're gonna have a boatload of fun this summer, and I want you to do the same. So look, we've got a number of workshops, levelupmentoring.rocks. It's not a .com because the info rocks. So it's levelupmentoring.rocks. I always tell people, I'm not a coach, I'm a mentor because I'm still in practice, I'm in the game, I'll mentor you, but I'm not your coach. And for that, I want to say, jump on the website, stay tuned to these videos. Hopefully we drop some gold here. I would tell you, some of this stuff, if you really apply it, can shift your practice. You have to understand the value points. You can't be doing 4, 5, 6 different tests. You're confusing people. And if you have any questions, please let me know as well. I'll be happy to help you out. So cheers, everybody, and let's have a better second half to 2020 because the first half was messy at best, and it was devastating for some chiropractors. I just don't want you to be one of them. So I sincerely hope this helps you out, and I will see you soon. Cheers.